Welcome to another edition of the Burrow podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm joined by Mark Rayner. How you doing, mate?
Going well, buddy. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I finally thawed out after being out down there in Canberra on Sunday.
Oh yeah, mate. We had a bit of a geeze at the temperature down there, and it didn't look pretty at all, mate.
No, I think it was even worse than what it was saying on the said 4 degrees, but they also said it was minus 2 degrees in the wind chill, so I was shaking all through the game.
You're an absolute champion, mate, with following this club, mate. I'll tell you that.
Look, there was a few of us down there, and we're all feeling the same. And I tell you, a win would have made it a lot better. That's for sure.
Yeah, win makes everything better.
Yeah, well, sadly, we went down 36-12 after being up 12-0 with 5 minutes to go in the half. And our last 5 minutes and a half, especially the last 3 games, have been an issue, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, mate. I can't put my finger on it. I've got no idea why that is. Complacency comes to mind. 1% stuff that just isn't getting done, laziness in and around the ruck. I really don't know, mate, but it's something Wayne's going to have to address very, very quickly before it becomes a real big habit.
Yeah, well, the last 3 weeks, we played Raiders last week. We had a try conceded in the 37th minute. The Warriors and the Tigers, both tries conceded in the 38th minute. And it kind of hurt us against the Warriors because they ended up winning by 6 points. And if you remember, we played the Storm. They scored in the 37th minute, and we're up just before halftime and ended up going even into halftime. That was another one that was costly, and also the one against the Cowboys in the 35th minute. So it certainly is an issue, and it hasn't been just this year. It's happened in the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, mate. As a coach myself, really, yeah, I don't know. I have zero answer as to why that keeps happening. It's just one of those things, mate, where like I said, mate, I don't know.
Have something to do with the bench?
We're talking about first grade rugby league players here, mate, not under 17s to what I coach. You know what I mean? And I really, I don't know that grown men making those mistakes out on the football field, mate, it's ridiculous.
Well, could it be the bench rotation? Could that be an issue? Because we certainly did well in the first 30 minutes, and I thought our props with Keon and Joe were really good to start with, and we were dominating probably the best team in the comp. I believe Canberra are at the moment. They're the most informed team in the competition, and they held their own, and we were dominating. We were up 12-0, and then when we had a few replacements, and also I've got to add Lockie Hubner in there, who's been playing really well, filling in for Cam Murray. And I'm not sure that our bench is doing the job that they're meant to.
No, you're right, 100% right. And I'm like, mate, look, Totola's not the player that he was, and don't get me started on Sean Kepi, mate, because that if I was the coach of South Sydney, mate, he wouldn't be anywhere near my starting 17 mates. That's just a fact. Look, I don't have anything, against the bloke. He's a good bloke, but mate, he's not first grade standard. And to me, mate, his attitude out there on the weekend just was not good enough. So I don't know whether it is the rotations made at that point in time, or no lack of communication out there when those rotations do come on. I'm not sure, but Wayne's got some serious dramas with that.
Yeah, well, I thought to start the year, Sean was looking like he was going to be decent for us this year. I thought he had a few good games early on, especially his game against the Dragons. He turned that game, didn't he, against the Dragons? But he's gone backwards now, and he had that one-on-one strip where he had the ball taken off him, and then his defence on the line, he was getting caught out, and it did really hurt us, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, mate. Look, you can teach skill, you can teach defence. Maybe you can't teach attitude. And his attitude just isn't where it needs to be right now for an NRL player. So yeah, mate, I don't know. He needs to have a little bit of a look at himself. Is this what he wants to do? And if it is, then work on your attitude. It's about not wanting to let the man next to you down. Rugby league was built on that, and for me, mate, he just doesn't.
Well, Junior's one. He's come back from a horrific injury where he only just started walking again in the off season and that, and to come back, it's great that he's come back, but he's certainly not the same player at the moment, is he?
No, and look, you're right, mate. The injury that he did have was a bad one. But sometimes, mate, those injuries are mentally. Sometimes they're just mentally too tough to come back from. We can have a list of footballers a mile long that haven't been the same player once they've come back from a serious injury. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, mate. That you know what, I like Junior. He's a good lad, and I hope that he can sort of regain some of that form that he showed a couple of seasons ago. He was probably the number one prop in the game. He was probably the number one prop in the game, mate, before he went down, to be honest.
Yeah, so we've had a wretched run with injuries, haven't we? And every time we get excited about something, we lose another. And again, happened the other day with Cody coming off with now what appears to be a groin injury. We haven't had an update yet, but they are reporting that it was a groin injury, and he's not been named this week. And we'll go through the side a little bit later. But we just don't have any luck, do we?
Yeah, mate. You're right. And look, Cody's, what is he? 36 years old next birthday. Honestly, I think with Cody, mate, he's given us all that he can. The time is undefeated, mate. And I think that it's Cody's last hurrah this year. Body just, regardless of the fact that he only started playing NRL at 25 years old, mate, that doesn't matter. You're still 36 years old, on the football field, and the body just doesn't cope with the rigors of what it needs to when you reach that age. Simple as that. But he's been a good talisman for us, mate, for 10 years now, and I can't begrudge him, mate. He's given his all every single game. He's pulled us out of games where it probably wasn't looking real good for us, mate, and the Wiz has pulled off something miraculous to sort of steer us in to the win. So, but I think he's his time's come, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, there are reports that he's going to re-sign for another season, so it'll be interesting. And Wayne does tap players on the shoulder early. We've seen it with GI, and then with Sam Burgess and also John Sutton. He saw us transition through that, and certainly he'd be able to help us transition through this period when we do, when Cody does finally hang up the boots. But at the moment, our halves without Cody, we just don't have any creativity, do we?
No, and mate, I don't want to turn into one of those blokes, mate, that just turns into a hater, into a negative person, mate. But I've got to shoot straight from the hip, mate. Our retention and our recruitment team have a lot to answer for. Me personally, mate, I don't think that they've done a good job at all in and around that. There's been, we put all our eggs in the one basket into Lewis Dodd. Jamie's done an admirable sort of job but he's only a young fella, mate. He's still learning, he's still learning his craft. But yeah, I just think we've dropped the ball. I know we've got a couple of good young kids coming through, and I think we're going to be okay in the halves in and around that. But yeah, Dodd's been a bit of a disappointment thus far, although he did have a pretty fair game on the weekend against Canberra.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Dodd and Jamie Humphries. Since Jamie Humphries has come back from injury, he's played on the left side and hasn't looked as comfortable as he did early on in the season. Whether that's because he's playing on the left side, not the right side. You've also got Bud Sullivan, who's struggling with his, Bud Sullivan's been struggling with his attack as well. He's got the show and go, and a couple of times he's been able to get through, but most of the time he's been called out, and there's nothing really been happening on that right side with Bud feeding them the ball, has there?
No, there hasn't, mate. And you could probably, like I was saying to Loz on the weekend, like there's a few blokes in that team that would not get a crack at first grade at any other club, but out of necessity, we've got to sort of use them. Me personally, mate, I just would have, if I was Wayne, I would have ran with Dodd and Cody in the halves at the start of the year, and just bit down this is going to be my halves combo. They'll work it out. You signed the bloke for $700,000 a year and he's playing reserve grade, for Christ's sake. It's madness.
Well, there was talking in the paper today about him being moved on. South have said no, that they're still interested in him. So at the moment, it seems like he's a work in progress case. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not with us next year.
Well, mate, you know what? That's for the up to the wonderful, magnificent recruitment and retention team that we have at South Sydney, mate. Let them make those calls. You and I could probably go in there and run that joint a hell of a lot better than it's being run at the moment, but whatever.
No, thank you. I might send him back and being this side of it. I think that'd be stressful doing any sort of job that, you know, you've been on that side of the fence. So it's not an easy job, but you know, we can sit back here and criticise, but I certainly wouldn't want to be on the other side of the fence.
I'd love to have a crack, mate, and I think they yeah. I'm putting it on record right now, Mr. Solly. Get me in there.
Well, it didn't start too well for us. Campbell Green pulled out early and Ty Munro came in. Back spasms was the cause for Campbell missing out, and he's been named on an extended bench this week, but who knows if it's just going to be 1 week, 2 weeks with back spasms. You never know what the case is there. So he certainly was a huge loss the other day, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, mate. And like defensively, he's been outstanding. But I just want to know what the hell's back spasms. I don't know I've no idea. I played rugby league for 20 years and never had one spasm in my back. I don't get what back spasms are. Get yourself on the massage table, get some DP'd into it, for Christ's sake. Rub it out and get on the football field. Back spasms, please.
Well, Ty Munro come back from injury, and I thought Ty Munro was great. Seems to have gotten a bit bigger, and his runs were really good coming out of trouble. He certainly didn't take a backward step, did he?
No, mate. He was solid, and mate, for such a young kid, mate, he's got a really good football nous on him. He knows where to put himself. I mean, he's lightning fast, and mate, he's got all the attributes to be Alex Johnson 2.0, in my opinion. Mate, good luck to him. That the young lad's been through some horrendous things over the last year, you know, with injury and the loss of his relatives and stuff. And mate, to still be to have the head on his shoulders that he has is a credit to the young man. I'm very, very proud of him. He's a good South Sydney lad and one that, you know, hopefully retires in our jersey.
Yeah, well, you know, it's watching him last year against Penrith. That game against Penrith just shows the maturity of him. You know, he's to play like he did after the tragedy that happened to him that week, and to go on and score 2 tries. You could just see how much it meant to him. And there at the end of the game, surrounded by family, and the team giving him a guard of honour to go to his family. It's just such a lovely tribute. And this year, he's just had more rotten luck with injuries, and I just hope that we can get the players that will be able to feed him the ball out in that right wing, because give him a little bit of space. He's scoring. There was one play towards the end of the game where the ball went out wide and it was Isaiah Tass that had it, and you just kind of said, if that was Ty Munro, that would have been a try. But, you know, I feel like he keeps his spot now. He showed that, you know,
100%, mate, 100%. You're right. You're spot on. You know, barring injury again for the young bloke, and fingers crossed that doesn't happen, he keeps that spot, you know, and in my opinion, until he's ready to make the shift to fullback. Because in my opinion, mate, he's an out and out fullback type man.
You could be right there. It'd be interesting to see what the makeup of our side is in a few years' time. With a few players will end up retiring and that. So there's a lot of things, a lot of shifting that can go on. But the other winger we're talking a guy just starting his career, and we got the guy on the other end. But he's 201st try. He's got 12 to go to break the record. Just his positional play in being in the right spot. It's going to hurt with Cody out, but with Latrell showed that he can feed him a bit of ball. We're still hopeful that he can get the record this year.
Absolutely, he will. No doubt in my mind, mate. And he'll break the record at the magnificent Accor Stadium, home of the mighty South Sydney Rabbitohs, and where we won our 21st premiership. And I think he deserves to break it there at that ground. And regardless of what happens moving forward, mate, I think it'll be a wonderful occasion. He's just a freak. I remember I mean, his first try was you could tell that positionally, even from the very first try that he scored in his career, or was it that kick from Reynolds?
Yeah, so it was a kick out wide to Reynolds, and he was on the right wing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. But he knew where to be. He knew where to put himself, and certainly nothing's changed. 201 tries later.
A lot of people kind of rubbish Alex Johnston getting the record and that. There's a few people there saying, no, he doesn't deserve it. You can't take it away from Ken Irvine. Seen all sort of comments. The corner post didn't count. I mean, I've never really seen Alex Johnston touch the corner post when he scores because he positions himself that well. There's a lot of arguments. You can think of the other side where how many of Ken Irvine's tries weren't actually a try because of the video ref. So there's a lot of debate there, but they're talking about other things. Oh, he's played more games, which he hasn't actually played more games at the moment. But when you look at on the wing, in 171 games on the wing, he scored 177 tries. That's more than a try a game. And what's let him down is in 59 games at fullback, he scored 23. And I think there's been one try. There's been one try that he scored from the bench from 3 games. So he's certainly doing the job on the wing.
He'd already have the record, mate. If he didn't fill in at fullback, that would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, 100%.
And to those people, whoever you are, shut the up, because he does deserve it, and he will get it, and he will be the NRL's top try scorer by the end of this year, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So cry.
Another guy, I believe this guy is the form prop of the competition, and how did he started the year at prop? I think we would have been missing him this week. Named as 19th man for the Blues, but Keon in his 4 games at fullback, he's against the Broncos. He played for 73 minutes, 212 metres, 37 tackles. 80 minutes against the Tigers, 282 metres, 49 tackles. 80 minutes against the Warriors, 216 metres, 40 tackles and a try. And just against the Raiders, 71 minutes, 201 metres, 48 tackles and a try. They're just insane stats for a prop, aren't they?
Yeah, Mr. I'm not a prop forward, I'm a back rower is going pretty good, mate. So I think he may have played himself out of a back position.
Yeah. Well, you look at all other props and we see props up. They'll make decent. I looked through a lot of the stats of the best props in the game. I was looking at James Fisher-Harris. I was looking at Joe Tarpanay, Tino even though he plays lock a lot of the times, but Tino for the Titans, Terrell Mayo, looking at all their stats, and none of them have stats like Keon.
No, and like, I mean, you look at Fisher-Harris, mate. Fisher-Harris, blokes like Fisher-Harris and Adam Fanua-Blake for the Sharks, they're enforcers. They're your enforcer type footballers. They have good stats as well, but that's them. That's been them their entire careers. But Keon's not that enforcer sort of role. Is just a roll the sleeves up and do the job kind of footballer, and he does that role really well. He just gets in and does those 1% things as well that no one else wants to do. He'll do the 2 carries in a set. He busts his ass, and he's really, really impressed me since he's made that transition. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he scored the try that he scored against Canberra was a carbon copy of the one that was scored against the Warriors, and again, Lockie Hardner, beautiful short pass to him, and just crash ball right over, and he bust through, and they're both the teams that he scored against were very strong defenders.
Yeah. That's right. That stuff's not easy, mate. And when you take a ball that close to the line, that chances are you're going to get rocked. And mate, to not only take the football, but to have the power and the strength to either barge your way over or have that ability to find the hole in a very, very tight defensive line to slide through that's a lot of skill, mate. And not a lot of people have the ability to do that.
True. Our defence the last 2 weeks is we've conceded 36 points each of the last 2 games, which if you want to compete, that's simply not good enough. And I believe it was something like 5 tries in the last 2 weeks. Our kick defusal, and we've conceded 5 tries in the last 2 weeks from kicks. And there was one that we didn't even go for the bomb. We went to tackle him, and it was an unbelievable offload. Was it Hudson Young that did the offload?
Yeah.
Such a beautiful offload, but it's certainly not good enough in an area we need to be so much better for.
Coach killers, mate. Dead set coach killers. And look, mate, I'm not going to. I mean, yes, Ty probably should have gone up for that. Right. But there's got to be, and like I said to Loz, I said, like, if Stretch hadn't been there, I think, we get that football. You know what I mean? But you're right. That's simply not good enough.
Well, even the short dropout in the first half, where it turned the momentum of the game in that first half, because we forced a dropout and Tyrone Munro went up for it and he lost it. But I just wonder if it's a confidence thing now, because Alex Johnston dropped the ball in the first half and that led directly to a try. They tripped over each other and led to a try. And I just wonder if it's a lack of confidence.
Yeah, you might be right, mate. I mean, it's better to definitely play with confidence than without confidence. Like, honestly, they're first grade footballers, mate. This is not park football. This is NRL, and this is the kind of stuff that should just be. This is the kind of 1% stuff that I talk about. That should just be second nature. You shouldn't even be having this conversation. Fair enough if you're having bad defensive reads and you whatever the case may be in terms of letting points in, that's the 1% stuff like that should not be an issue, yet with our team it is, and it's very disappointing.
Well, look, we've seen the best drop balls from kicks or whatever. We understand that it's not going to always work out, but we certainly need a better percentage of our kick defusals, and it's a huge problem for us right now.
Yeah, just compete for the bloody thing. For Christ's sake, compete. Even if your balls it up, just compete for the bloody thing. Christ, I mean, yeah. But anyway, again, that's a Wayne problem.
Early in the second half, it was about 8 minutes into the second half, we were penalised, I thought wrongfully. The same thing happened to Latrell late in the first half, where he went up for a quick play of the ball and they were all over him. He dropped the ball. The ref called a knock on, and same thing happened where the Canberra player went to play it too quickly. He botched it, and they got a penalty. They ended up going down and score. We couldn't defend, and they ended up scoring to make it 12-all. But I was kind of disappointed that we didn't challenge that. I really thought that's one we should have challenged, because we challenged one with Ewan Aiken earlier on when he was penalised, and we won that, especially against Todd Smith, because Todd Smith's one of the worst refs for getting his calls overturned. And I thought that was one where we should have used our captain's challenge.
Yeah, 100%. I really was Cody still on the field at that time?
Yes, he was.
He should know better. If anyone should know better, it's Cody Walker should have known better than and had a crack at that, because why not? Why the hell not? If there's doubt, challenge it. That's what it's for.
Yeah, well, we didn't use a challenge in the game at all anyway, so it's just their rights. But yeah, it was certainly the wrong decision.
Yeah. I mean, mate, we're not coaches, so we can say whatever we like about them. But the bloke's a fool.
Well, again, it highlights the inconsistencies of referees, where you look at one incident and he's turned around and said, no, that's a knock-on, but then the same thing happened and that's a penalty. And I've seen it against the Warriors, where I spoke about the inconsistencies, and this happened just 5 minutes later, like the two incidences where on the last tackle, Ewan Aiken went from dummy half, and there was 2 players that never got back to the line, tackled him, and he called changeover, whereas down the other end, it wasn't even 5 minutes later, they're attacking our line, and he called us on the last tackle and goes 6 again. So it's just highlights the inconsistencies of the referees, and I mean, we've had benefits previously, so it's not certainly, it comes swings and roundabouts, but we just want to see more consistencies with the referees. That if they're going to not penalise one, don't penalise the other.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty simple. You and I sitting here doing this wonderful podcast can work it out, mate, but somehow they can't. Mysteries of the unexplained, mate.
Look, you couldn't pay me enough to be a referee, though, I'll tell you now.
No.
Because even when they get it right, everyone complains. We've seen that too often. I've looked at things, and it seems like every pass is a forward pass from the fans, isn't it? And they don't understand the rule of a forward pass. So yeah, it'd be a hard job to be a referee because you can't do anything right. Even when you do it right, you're doing it wrong.
That's put the uniform on, mate, and that's that's what happens. That's look. At the end of the day, mate, they're out there. If we were talking about you know, referees back in the day, mate, and in my opinion, I think the refereeing back in the day with Mick Stone and Harrigan and blokes like that, mate, was better than what it is today. And they don't have all the technology available to them.
Well, I could counter that and say, is it because they didn't have the technology that they were better? Because we've got, these guys are under more scrutiny than ever, and there's how many cameras? Whereas back then they had two cameras on a game, and we'd hardly see anything. So who knows how many errors they made in those days? But one thing they did, they certainly had confidence in their decisions, didn't they?
Yeah, and you know what, mate? That's I would have more respect for a referee that just went up there and made the goddamn decision. Right. Sometimes, mate, like they'll blow a try, but we've seen it. Either it's been a little bobble there when they've gone to put it down or whatever. Okay, whatever, fair enough, But then you got the bunker mate who seems to need to have 150,000 looks at the bloody thing before they determine that it's like Christ Almighty. Please, just look at it once, right? Stevie Wonder could see that they've had a bobble or that the ball's been grounded. Okay, make a decision.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're trying to look at everything under a microscope, and that's probably what frustrates people so much. We're trying to micromanage a game now, and it's certainly taking a lot away from the game. But you spoke before about uniforms with the referees and that, and speaking of uniforms, here we are. I'm wearing the jersey that the boys ran out the other day. I don't think a lot of people understood it. I've seen a lot of comments about 7-Eleven and Castrol and that. But obviously, this is a throwback to our Sevens jersey that we wore in the mid '90s. And what did you make of the jerseys?
Mind them, mate. I don't mind them at all. I thought they were okay. I mean, it's getting a little bit ridiculous where we may as well have a different jersey every frigging week the way the competition's going. Like, mate, I don't mind. I don't mind when clubs get creative with that sort of stuff, mate. Whatever. I mean, you know what? Like, if you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Simple.
I'll tell you this, though. The one jersey that I loved on the weekend was the Broncos jerseys. I really loved that jersey and also what it stood for as well.
Yeah, it was unreal. It was unreal, mate. And like, mate, just like I said, like good on clubs for having some initiative with coming up with new designs and all that sort of stuff. I'm all for it. And but I mean, you've always got people out there that whinging, got another this and that, and blah, blah, blah. You shut the hell up. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you like it, buy it. Simple.
Well, anyway, we do have a game this Sunday, Origin affected, but we play the Bulldogs Sunday 4:05 kickoff. The team list dropped today, and we've got fullback Jai Gray, Alex Johnston, Tyrone Munro on the wingers, Jack White and Isaiah Tass in the centres, Jaden Sullivan 5'8", Jamie Humphries halfback, Jai Arrow, Saliba Havili and Keon Kaloa Matangi are the front row. Ewan Aiken, Tallis Duncan in the back row. Lockie Hubner is a lock. On the bench, we got Davey Moali, Sean Kepi, Liam LeBlanc, Tavita Totola, and the 18th man, Ryan Gray. Campbell Graham on the extended bench with Lewis Dodd, Fletcher Myers and Jacob Host.
Mate, if I'm Cameron Serraldo, I'm licking my lips at that lineup, mate. Absolutely 100% licking my lips at that line. That lineup does not strike fear into anyone, mate. You know what? And again, mate, it comes back to attitude. It comes into the next man up mentality. I personally think that it has the potential to be a very, very long afternoon for us, mate, if we don't go out there with the right attitude from minute one and continue the right attitude all the way through to the 80th minute, mate. It could get very, very messy. I know they're missing Burton, but in comes
Lockie Galvin,
mate. Kickow and Preston on the edges, mate. They're missing Kurt Mann as well, who I think has been massive, mate, for him this year.
Well, there's a reason why he's been selected for Queensland, and he's turning into a really good player. I feel that if we show the intensity that we did in the first 30 minutes, my issue is what's going to happen with the bench. It's interesting that Ryan Gray was named at 18, and we got a four-man forwards we got 4 forwards on the bench, which we haven't had this year. And I just wonder, could we see Ryan Gray make a debut, because he can play hooker, and we only need a 15, 20-minute period from him to fill in for Havili, because we don't have anyone. I know Jai Gray filled in. Sorry, not Jai Gray filled in, but he's playing fullback. But we had Jai Arrow fill in for a period against the Warriors there. But we can't expect him to do that.
You know what, mate? Bring him in. Bring him in. What harm's it going to do? I mean, why not? Give the bloke a crack. You know, like if he's good enough to be named as 18th man, mate, he's good enough to make his debut. And I say I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I say get Kepi off the friggin' bench and put him in there. Because to be honest, mate, I really like that. Is it LeBlanc?
Liam LeBlanc.
I like that kid.
He hits hard, doesn't he?
He's got mongrel about him, mate. And yeah, he's not scared to put his body on the line. And for Christ's sake, if you're going to play rugby league, you've got to put your body on the line. And he does it. He put his head in places that that heads shouldn't go. And I really like the kid. So yeah, why not bring that young fella into the team? I like young Davey. I also understand why he was dropped there a little bit. Again, mate, a little bit of an attitude adjustment required.
I don't think that's correct. I think he had because if you notice the last few weeks, Wayne was rotating the forwards. So the bench forwards, we seen 1 week it was Junior, another week it was Liam, the week after it was Sean Kepi, and last week it was Davey, and he played them in, apart from Junior, he played them in New South Wales Cup to give them bigger minutes. So it was definitely something there that he wanted to do. So I don't believe it was form-wise, because certainly if it was form-wise, Davey's ahead of guys like Sean Kepi and Junior Totola.
Yeah, I saw some things. I saw some things against, who was it?
Warriors.
Did Davey play against the Warriors?
He did. He only played something like 16 minutes, or he played low minutes in that. I don't know how much, but he played low minutes.
I just saw some things, mate, in that game that were very un-Davey like. And I just thought that maybe, I mean, there is such a thing too, mate, as, I mean, he's only a young man himself as well. Yeah. And I think there is such a thing, mate, as Wayne maybe noticing that sort of stuff creeping in, and giving him that opportunity to go and reset back in Reggie's.
Well, yeah, he's done that a few times over his career, where he does go back and he kills it. And he had a strong game in New South Wales Cup, and he comes back a much better player. So
yeah,
certainly
he does. He does, mate. And, you know, mate, massive fan of his. Wonderful family. And you know, should be a mainstay in that South Sydney pack.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this is where he really turns it around. But Campbell Graham named on an extended bench, so he could play. I guess they're going to wait until captain's run to see how his back's going. But if he does come in, what do you see happening in the lineup?
I see Isaiah Tass. I see reserve grade in his future. There's some things that have and some complacency and an attitude that's crept into his game as well, mate, that I'm not real happy with. But mate, as well, look, we got a bloke on the other side, mate, that's on $800,000 who I'm not real happy with either, and that's Jack Whiten. You know, I might get boo-booed for that, but I really don't care. I think he needs to do a hell of a lot more in that side than what he's doing at the moment. And for the cash that he's on, yeah, he really needs to show a little bit more. I think on his day, Jack Whiten is one of the best centres in the competition. And I don't know whether that's again, he's coming back from some injuries as well. So it might just be a period that he needs to readjust and reset and go again. But yeah, mate, I really haven't been sold on Jack since he arrived at the club. He great bloke, wonderful fella, was brilliant in Canberra. But again, this is the retention and recruitment stuff at the club. Yeah, I mean, again, mate, that's just my That's my opinion, but he needs to be doing a little bit more. He's a leader in that team, and he needs to show it.
Yeah, well, another option that I've thought is a possibility would be possibly playing, putting Isaiah Tass, if Campbell Graham comes in, putting Isaiah Tass onto the left side and bringing Jack Whiten to play 5/8 and put Bud Sullivan on the bench where he can come in and fill that hooker role for that 15-minute period. Because we know Wayne certainly likes to have a small man on the bench. So that could tick a lot of boxes there. I certainly don't think Jamie Humphries coming off the bench worked at all last week.
No, it didn't. It didn't, mate. Yeah, I mean, look, I'd be relatively happy with that. Jack has played 5/8, mate, for a very long time. He excelled at Canberra in the 5/8 role. Almost won a comp with them in playing 5/8.
Churchill medal, Dalian, that same year.
There you go, mate. So he was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. So he's not a slouch in the six, that's for sure. I feel that he needs to get his hands on the football a bit more, and I mean, you can still do that from centre if your attitude's right, but playing 5/8, mate, you have no choice but to get your hands on the ball a hell of a lot more, and that might be Jack's position moving forward.
What I like about that idea is that it puts Isaiah Tass in on the left side, which is where he's played his best football. On the right, he was just lost last week. Putting Jamie Humphries to play on the right side, it's beneficial to him because at the start of the year when he was on the right side, he looked a lot more comfortable than he does on the left. And having Jack White there, who's done that, the experience, I think overall, if Campbell Graham came back in, that would be the best thing for the side.
I think so, mate. I'm with you.
Well, we've got a new segment. It's Cody's weekly stats. We've got him to give a few stats of the up-and-coming game against the Bulldogs. Enjoy viewing.
Hello and welcome to my brand new segment, Cody's Weekly Stats. Each week I'll be giving a rundown of going over the opposition of who we're playing. This week in round 15, I'll be going over the Bulldogs, where I'll be talking about this head-to-head, the stats, our best win and best loss against them as well. So in our head-to-head history against the Bulldogs, we have played 170 games. The Bulldogs have won 85, the Rabbitohs have won 81, and there have been 4 draws thrown in there as well. And this will also be the 39th time where we'll be playing each other at Accor Stadium. The Dogs have won 20, the Rabbitohs have won 18, and the Rabbitohs have won 6 of their past 8 games against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have not beaten us twice since 2011 in the regular season. We have only won 3 of our past 8 at Accor Stadium. AJ, who is going for that record, has scored 16 tries in 18 games against the Bulldogs. And also our biggest win against the Bulldogs was back in 2021 when we won 38-0 on Good Friday. And our biggest loss against the Bulldogs was back in 2003 where we got flogged 62-12 at the SFS.
Thank you, Cody. It's a good little segment, and hopefully it kicks on because he certainly knows his stats, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, mate. He's I don't think I've ever met the lad, but he's on the money, the young fella.
Well, it was interesting, the one where he spoke about the Bulldogs, where 2011 was the last time they won. The Bulldogs beat us twice in the regular season, so we're a bit concerned that that's going to be broken now. We've had a few of the streaks broken lately, but hopefully we can get something happening where we can pull that out and extend that streak.
That'll be nice, mate. And you know what? It's always a good contest against the Dogs. I don't think it's ever really mattered sort of where we were sitting on the ladder and where they were sitting on the ladder. It didn't matter because we've certainly had some crackers against them, that's for sure.
Well, hopefully we do get a big crowd. It's another Sunday game. We're getting a few Sunday games this year. It'll be good to see. We no doubt the Bulldogs fans are going to turn up. We had 65,000 against them on Good Friday this year. They got just shy of 60,000 against Parramatta on Monday, and they'll certainly be out there in force. And hopefully you guys at home can get out there and support the team. But I'm thinking of probably about 35,000 crowd.
Yeah, mate. I think that's well within reach. Well within reach. somewhere between the 25 to 35 would be a good result, I reckon.
You going to head out there with the family?
I reckon we'll be there, mate.
Well, you spoke before about clashes with them. What are some of your most memorable clashes against them? Obvious one would be the 2014 grand final, but any other memorable clashes against them?
They just can't seem to beat us in grand finals, can they? The Dogs. Anyway, unlucky, mate. The what was it? The mad Easter clash, mate, with
The Bad Friday.
Bad Friday. That's the one. Yes, Bad Friday. Where Clemmer almost needed a box of Kleenex. He was whinging that hard. But yeah, I mean that was a great clash. Anytime that I can see David Clemmer and James Graham with tears in their eyes, mate. It's a good afternoon for me, mate. So, that was really good. With Reynolds kicking us home at the end there. So,
Well, no, he didn't. He didn't kick us. It was Bryson Goodwin that kicked us.
It was Goodwin, wasn't it?
Because Reynolds was injured from that incident.
That's right, he was.
And a lot of people don't. A lot of people.
Was.
Well, no, he actually was because he was out for 4 weeks after that.
Yeah, I know, mate. It was that like for me, that sort of was like, because I remember we got bundled out in the first week of the finals that year, didn't we? By the Sharkies. Is
Sharks,
that right?
yeah, later that year.
Yeah, later that year. And I think, mate, with Reynolds going down in that period, that cost us a couple
Top
of
4.
wins.
Yeah, top 4 spot.
And that could have been all the difference. But anyway, whatever. But yeah, we've definitely had some good ones.
Yeah,
You're about to tell us about another one.
The unforgettable part of that game was Isaac Luke getting the penalty, the penalty try, the 8-point try, where he scored and he got knocked out of the game. And so we were up against it. We had a few injuries anyway, and then losing Isaac Luke, he was concussed out of the game, knocked out of the game, and we had no right to win that game, did we? And Dave Tyrrell scoring the try that got it even again, then Trent Hodkinson kicking the field goal, and Reynolds went to return a serve and got taken out, so we got the penalty goal right in front, and it confused everyone at the game because we go, why are we getting it right in front for? It showed that the ref got the decision 100% correct, and even the Canterbury players now say it. But another game I want to talk about in a memorable match was round 1, 1999. I don't know if you remember that game. The Dogs coming off losing a grand final. It was their first game since that. And they were leading in the last few minutes of the game, and we made a break. And Brett Rodwell was taken out of play in the back, but we spread it, and Craig Wing dived for the corner and went to the video showing he was taken out. Then we go back to where the penalty was, and we had another attacking set. And this time, Trindle, weaving his magic, got it out. Craig Wing to the corner. This time he scored to win the game. And the scenes of the game were just unbelievable. I remember everyone down at the fence there because they scored in that corner where we were. It was the Rabbitoh Army back then, Bay 38. We're all down there around the players there, just celebrating like similar to what the Dogs do after they beat the team coming second last, except we don't block traffic.
Yeah, mate. Look, I mean, that was a wonderful day. Very unexpected win. And it's the ones that you don't expect. When we do get up, they're the ones that I personally cherish the most as well. I just think we've had that many wonderful clashes with the Dogs over the years. They're two of obviously our favourites, but I'm sure there's many more that I've forgotten about.
Do you remember the one in 2000? It happened just after Braithen Astor announced that he was going to the Roosters, and we remember the second half. We ended up coming home strong, and we ended up smashing them. We ended up absolutely smashing them. And every time in the second half, they kept scoring down where we were. South kept scoring down where we were. And Braithen Astor was in the huddle, and the Burrow was just giving it to him. We were singing, you can shove your Braithen Astor up your ass. And he heard it loud and clear. And even Willie Mason was kind of giving it to him.
I mean, look, Braith was, I think what the story sort of went along the lines of, remember we were talking to Matty Orford as well, and there was a whisper that Matt Orford was going to come to the club.
Matt Orford
and Braith,
and
I believe Braith said that if Orford signs, I'll sign. And Orford, as history shows, ended up going to Manly, and then Braith ended up going to the Chooks.
Well, the story is that that both Matt Orford and Stephen Bell agreed to terms with South. So it was a handshake deal.
That's right, Bell. Yeah, Bell as well. That's right.
And I remember I was down in Melbourne, and Richo basically without naming the names, he told me that we got them. So he was very confident that it happened. He believed that, he believes a man to his word and all that. So he believed that a deal was done without the signature. And then Manly came in at the last minute and got them. The rest was history.
Yeah, typical arseholes.
Well, we'll move on to our pathways. And the New South Wales Cup had a good win, 24-14 over Canberra. The game was played after our first grade game. I would have loved to have stayed, but I couldn't wait to get into my car and get the heater on the car to head back home. I know a couple of people that actually stayed. They stayed down there for it, and hats off to them. But I just couldn't feel my toes, couldn't feel my fingers, and I was like, yeah, it's time to go now. But they had a really good win. There was some standout performers. That Jai Gray tore them apart. Hazen Miller's again another strong game. Davey Moali, Talanoa Panatane had probably his best game, and the other one was Fletcher Myers as well.
Yeah, Fletcher. Yep. Yeah.
What about
mate? We've got. I like a lot of our pathways lads, and I'm a massive fan of, obviously, blokes like Fletcher and that they've had a crack in first grade and mixed results with them. I mean, you're not going to set the world on fire from your debut and it's just going to be all glitter and gold. There's going to be times where you're going to have ups and downs in your football. But I mean, Joy is Joy. He just always gives 100%, mate. Doesn't matter what position he plays. And I'm just a massive fan of Mellars, mate. I think boy, that lad's got to be close. Has to be close.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get given a chance. I don't think he will in the next few weeks. It'd be interesting to see, especially because when you got with Tyrone Munro back now and also AJ, it's kind of hard to see him get a spot on the wing. People suggest maybe centre, but for me, he hasn't played enough centre, he hasn't played any centre at all in New South Wales Cup. And if they were going to do that, they'd move him there to see how he goes. But Celestia Tata is back, and he's a big middle, and it'll be good to see him. I noticed Shaq Mitchell's still out, so I'm not sure what's happened to Shaq. And again, Josh Schuster's been named on an extended bench. So the guy that I'm interested in seeing is Thomas Fletcher, because I think he's a smoky. His defence is really good, and something I feel that Tallis Duncan's probably lacking a little bit at the moment. He does pull off some big hits, but his position, sometimes he does get caught out a little bit, and maybe a stint in New South Wales Cup in the back row, because he's certainly a great defender in the middle, but having to defend out wide, it's still a new position to him. And we've got the halves as well as Ashton Ward, who's really been impressing, as well as Lewis Dodd is another one that's been impressing last week, with his kicking game. Anyway, I think we've lost Rayner there. We apologise there. We had a few technical difficulties there with Mark's internet there, but we got him back now, so we can move on now. And there was a signing rumour today came out about Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah, big fan of Selwyn, mate. Big body, a very, very good under the high ball, good defender. Would not look out of place in a South Sydney jersey, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, we had we missed out on Taylor May. He's gone to the Tigers.
I'm glad.
We couldn't fill a spot. I mean, I thought him on the field would have been great for us, but it's the off-field thing that can be a concern. But he's going to be the Tigers' worry now, whether he can, he'll perform on the field, but what is he like off the field? So there's always that concern. But now we're going for Selwyn Cobbo. We're looking for outside backs. I wonder what does that mean in the makeup, whether it's an issue for AJ or whether he's looking at possibly moving Jack White into a different position.
Mate, we discussed earlier, mate, it could be a case of I mean, I don't know what Cody Walker's longevity is going to be like, mate. It could be the fact that Wayne might have Jack earmarked for that 6 jersey. Mate, don't know. But look, I'd certainly take Selwyn if he was at the right price. I just think that he'd be very, very good for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that about leaves us today. We've got a few announcements to make. We got the bus to Manly. We're looking at getting a bus to the Manly game, $20 each. Drop off and pick up at the juniors. So if you're interested, reach out to us. You can contact us via the email below. Also the scarves, you can see there, Shaq Mitchell holding them up. We've only got about 10 left, but if you want one, come see me at the game on Sunday. I'll have them there in aisle 110, home of the Burrow. And the Dolphins game, upcoming Dolphins game, we'll be there up at Suncorp Stadium, the round 17 game. We're in Bay 317, so you can be part of the Burrow there. I think it has sold out. If not, just get towards Bay 318. You can get us there. So for now, I'm your host, Josh. I am joined by Mark. I apologise for the issues there that he's had. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you out there on Sunday. Go the Rabbitohs.